Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Property Breakfast. Thank you as always for tuning in and watching and listening whenever you may be doing that. Curiously, you've asked me to do a podcast this week on the clients that don't pay us.
Yes.
That sounds pretty mad, but then again, it is coming from you, and that you sometimes do have these rather left field ideas.
And that's why you love working with me.
Yes, I should though clarify that you haven't completely lost your marbles, and we are not
No.
going to be doing a podcast about people who don't pay. We're actually doing it about clients who don't pay because those clients are an extension of the client that doesn't pay. It is actually the client that doesn't pay because they are an animal. So we're looking today particularly at dogs and cats. We know that you may have a menagerie of other beasts and reptiles and all the rest of it, but it's cats and dogs covers most of it. And I'm a dog owner, cat owner, not currently, but have been. And I think it's pretty important. But you took it to another level in the discussion we had about how really super important it is to make sure they're well looked after. So Candice has got some great ideas on this. Just a quick caveat of what we're not going to talk about is selecting the home
Right.
for your cat and dog.
Exactly.
We're working on the basis as a good cat and dog owner that you'll have already factored that into the home that you've chosen. Although if you want any advice on that, then obviously, contact you,
Absolutely.
Candice at define.co. We're focusing on, you found the house, it's moving on quite well, it's starting to feel like you're going to move, and you
Right.
start to need thinking about the other important members of your house.
Because they are very, very important. That they give us so much love, unconditional love.
Yours
we
are
are
incredible.
very responsible for them. So it's our responsibility to make sure that they feel safe at all times. They may think it's their job at all times to protect us, but it's our job to make sure they feel safe at all times. And that's why it's so important that when you are going to move, that within your own mind, you already have steps
Okay.
to know what you can do.
Okay. So, I'm a home buyer. I've selected the house. Legals are going well. Survey's going okay. It looks like it's going to happen. What can I do to help before the move with let's just use a simple example, with my dog?
Right. So the first thing you need to do, which is something you need to take action on,
Okay.
and that is to update the pet's tags, name tags,
Okay.
with the new address on it. Make sure that you call the vet that you've chosen in your new area so that you can register your pet. Very, very important. And also get an appointment booked in.
Okay.
If needs be. The most important thing then to consider is to make sure that the microchip is up to date.
Okay.
Very important. I don't know if you've heard, but there's going to be £500 fines for people that do not microchip their cats.
Really? Or
Yeah.
change the ownership
No.
details?
Oh. Just
Cats need to be microchipped.
at the moment, it's
Wow.
just 100%, and you can understand why, because they are
They're
lovely fur babies can go strolling and they get missing, especially if you move to a new area.
Yeah.
So
On that,
that's
though,
the most
that's
important thing
obviously
to do.
on that very specific point is obviously only when you've exchanged contracts and you definitely know your completion dates.
Yes.
Presumably before then, you start investigating. You presumably will try and find your paperwork for your chipping, which you may have put to one
Yes.
side, and also find a new vet in the area you're buying if you're moving into an area.
That's
or
it.
out of an area.
And generally, vets are very, very helpful when it comes to advice needed for microchipping.
Okay.
So they're very good. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do, who you need to contact. So they're very helpful.
Okay. And if you're moving into the area, we would certainly know the vets to recommend. If you're moving out of our area, are vets good at doing that?
They are very good at
Cross-referring?
recommending. Well, especially if it's the same name,
Okay.
for example.
But
As an
otherwise-
example, I'm with ARC in
Okay.
Fleet, and they're very good. If I was moving to another area, they might say to me, Candice, look, this is the next best place for you
Yeah.
to have a look at. They certainly won't tell you need to do that. They'll tell you, phone them, chat to them. If needs be, go visit,
Yeah.
go see their setup, because that's very important.
But again, if you're moving out of area, the agent that you're buying through, wherever that may be in the country, that agent should know.
100%. It's like schools.
So, yeah, recommendations.
The
yeah,
agent will
just
know
as
which
important.
schools are very good.
Just as important. we talk quite a bit about how stressful moving house can be for humans.
Yes, yes.
For the clients who do pay.
Yeah.
Does that, are there quite high stress levels amongst pets, and do they pick up on our stress levels before we move?
100%.
Okay. And how do so I'm close to moving, it's all going well, but there's still the associated stress of a move. So my dog in this scenario will be picking up on that, and that will
Correct.
then in turn give them stress. How do I help reduce that stress for the dog who just knows that something's changing?
So one of the things I always have to remind myself about, with anything in life, when you're going through a stressful situation, or if something's just made you angry, always keep in mind that just like children can pick up on stress and anger, so can your dog or your cat. And the minute the dog, for example, feels your stress or anger, automatically they're going to mirror that, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yep.
So your responsibility is to make sure that you think before you, should I say, act.
Yep.
So try and keep things calm.
So if you're going to curse your agent, curse them at work.
Go around the block and do it
don't
instead.
don't bring it back home to you. Of
Yes.
course, nobody
Yep.
curses us.
Yep.
Look at five
Hopefully not.
5-star Google reviews. I haven't had a cat write a review for.
No, you don't want a cat writing a review.
Something that to me is quite a logical thing to think about, but one which would never have occurred: scent swapping.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was like,
Yes.
what's that about? And then when you explained it to me, it did make sense.
So, right. So scent swapping is like a security blanket, so to speak, for a dog or a cat. So they associate home with certain smells. And one way you can actually help your fur baby, when you are moving, for example, let's say you're moving down the road, a thing you can actually do is take a piece of an old T-shirt or fabric, leave it in the place you're going to move to if it's vacant. So you're marinating that piece
Seriously?
of fabric. Yeah, seriously.
So this isn't necessarily their smell. This
No.
is the smell of
So
the
you're going
house.
to, yes. So the first thing you're going to do, if you can, is make sure that you can get a piece of fabric that you can leave there so it can actually absorb the smell a bit. Put it in a Ziploc bag, bring it back home, leave it somewhere for the dogs and the cats to smell so they can become familiar with it. So the other thing you can do, which you should really think about doing, is make sure that, again, it's for the reverse. If you're moving into the new home, make sure you've got a familiar smell from the old home. Same thing, T-shirt that you haven't washed yet, fabric, put it in a Ziploc bag. When you get to the new place, put different pieces of fabrics in different rooms where you want your pet to mark as their safe space, so to speak. Or no, not mark. You don't want their marking, but they go, that's my safe space. It's okay. I am safe.
So taking that to the ultimate extreme, I've got an old pillowcase. I cut it up.
Good idea.
In the existing house. When it gets closer to moving, even if you can't do anything until the day of completion, and let's be honest, most houses
Correct.
will have an occupier, and it won't be very easy to say, oh, by the way, can I give you 8 pieces of my pillow here? But even on completion day, to just put some of those
Ziploc your old pillowcase pieces you've cut up, whatever it is. Take it with you, so it doesn't. So
and then scatter them around.
It's nice and rich and with smell from what they're used to. So when they get there, they don't feel so overwhelmed with the move and the new smells.
What about the new house? And this is obviously allowing. Just say I was buying your house from you. This would be allowing you to go along with this. But is there any value in a smell from your house being brought into our house?
Yes, so exactly as I mentioned before,
reverse,
if you can do scent swapping, so to speak, it would definitely be very helpful, but we know that's not always possible with completion. But it's very important to make sure that your fur babies feel secure and safe. And that, again, is our responsibility. So, and we can talk about those steps. What do you do just before the move? How do you prepare your animal to be okay with packing? They're never going to be 100% okay, but how can you make that less stressful?
I mean, I can only liken it to when you're going on holiday or even just a weekend away and you start packing a bag and the dog immediately knows.
Whoa.
And it's like, am I coming with you? Am I going to see the auntie? Am I going to kennels? They always have that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned packing. So as we know, there's sometimes the post-exchange, we're packing for sure. But there's
Yes.
also the other, I think it's going to happen. Let's start making some progress.
And that's the best place to be.
What do you do to help that packing
So
process?
if you're in the latter, I would make sure you get a few boxes in. Some boxes, they don't have to be as big as the packing boxes, but some extra boxes you can bring in that you can play with your pet. Throw their toys into, throw treaties in, make it fun, make the experience something which they can relate to as fun. And it's okay. Mommy or daddy's in control of this. It's fine. Let them see you packing things slowly, but be very, very mindful. And again, we are all human. It's not easy to control our stress levels. But please keep in mind that you've got a dog and a cat that's there, that the minute they pick up on that stress, they're going to remember that stress on the day of the movers coming in and moving. So keep it calm, keep it happy. And, animals do pick up our emotions. So if you go, this is going to be a fun move. It's going to be super. Oh, we're going to move to a new home. There's going to be great walkies, etc. It really does make a big difference.
So if you've got 50 brown boxes of...
Hey, that's fun for a dog or a cat.
So if that's ultimately what you end up moving, along with the sofas and all the bits that don't go in a box,
Yep.
just have 5 or 10 of those in the weeks leading up to it.
Yeah.
So when it really comes to the crux in the last couple of days when you're moving, they're not intimidated by a house full of empty rooms and brown boxes.
Exactly.
Okay, wow.
Talking about rooms, Adrian, there has to be a room that you pack up first.
And again, as a human,
Yeah.
you have that classic thing of when you move house, you pack a kettle and the mugs and
Yes,
bottle of wine.
exactly.
Although we give our people move in a bottle of wine. And then it's always make the bed.
Yes.
So that whenever you're ready to drop after a long couple of days, whether it's 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning,
yes,
you've got your bed made and
exactly.
you've had a cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's ignoring the dog.
Correct.
So what am I doing with the dog?
Right. Good question. So first of all, you are packing to move. Where do you start? Start with the smallest room in the house where you can get things packed up very quickly. Make sure that you put the dog's beds in there, water, food, again, it's the whole thing of putting an old t-shirt or a cloth in there with them that belongs to you. Or if they've got additional blankets, you can, or towels perhaps, or cloths, you can just let them sleep in days before you move them to the small room. When it comes to the day of major packing, you certainly don't want your cats to escape, jump out a window, run out the door when the movers come in.
Right.
You certainly don't want your dogs to feel anxious, and therefore some dogs can become reactive. So you put them away into the room, put nice calming music on. Classic FM is a really good one for that. Absolutely love them.
Seriously.
Classic FM, really good. Really,
I wasn't
really
meaning
good.
your choice of Classic FM. I was meaning, seriously, put a dog
100%.
in a quiet room, relaxing music. This will all help.
Correct. There are certain other things you can do, like essential oils, a little bit of lavender. But then again, when you're moving, let's not forget, you can only do so much. So food, water, licky mats. For those of you that don't know what licky mats are, look on Google. It's fantastic. You can actually make lovely bits of, how should I say, stress relieving food.
Okay.
It's basically when a dog when they're licking, for example, it helps release stress.
Okay.
So chewing or licking. So licky mats, put that down for them, leave them there.
If you just Google licky mats, you'll
That's
find
it.
that
Amazon, great place to buy.
Okay.
Check in with your animals and go, hey, it's all good, no problem at all, exciting, and carry on doing your packing. So what do you do when you are moving across with your dogs? You might be thinking, or cats.
Well, my next question was going to be, so we've done all this prep, and this.
Yes.
I wouldn't quite say this is mind blowing because we have talked about it, but I specifically said don't tell me the detail because I want to be shocked is the wrong word, but I want to be like, oh, wow, really? Licky mats, and didn't know what they were, and lavender oil and whatever. So we've talked about the prep up to.
Yes.
It's completion day. It's a Friday, typical day of completion. Before you talk about the dog that's with us, if you had a choice and you had a safe place for it to go on completion, would you suggest that dogs and cats shouldn't be physically moving with you and that they go somewhere else for that 24-hour period? If you have that choice.
If you have that choice for dogs, sure.
Yeah.
Cats are different.
Okay.
So cats prefer to be at home. The minute you change a security for a cat, the minute you take them away from that, all of a sudden they've lost their security. You've then got a cat that might be at risk. If you can leave them in a cat box, a cat carrier for a couple of hours, in a friend's room that you know is secure, windows are closed, they've got a litter box, food, water, sure, you can go for it. It's only for a couple of hours. However, if you can do that in the home you are moving from, and that's why the emphasis on a room which you pack up first is very important.
Okay.
That should be a room where you go in at the very last minute. They've come in and packed up, they've moved everything out. Take your fur babies, put them in the car, take them with you is probably ideal. We know that doesn't always happen for many reasons. Make sure you've got someone who you really trust, who the dogs know, that the cats are familiar with, that you can leave with them. Make sure, because it's still going to make them feel very anxious.
So completion day, cat.
Yes.
Removal men arrive 8 o'clock. Doors are open. People are moving around all over the place.
Yeah.
If you've got a cat that not necessarily runs away for weeks, which I know has happened to quite a few people in and around Hartley, Whitney and Fleet, but if you've got a cat that just tends to scarper a little bit, but you've got nowhere else to take it, so you'd suggest removal men are arriving at 8 o'clock, cat goes in a basket in the house.
That's it. And you can put a towel over.
Yeah. And you do the usual things of reassure it, feed it.
That's right.
Make it not feel alienated. But the best thing to do is to keep it in the house, keep it in
the box with a bit of water.
Or a room if it doesn't get opened.
Yeah, a bit of water, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And then that's all you do. And I think, the vets will tell you very clearly, when you come in with a cat, there's towels for you. Just put a towel over the basket, because when it's dark and they can't really see what's going on, they feel a little bit more secure.
Got you. Back to my dog scenario.
Yes.
It's completion day.
Yep.
In an ideal world, if it can go into a place it knows, would your recommendation be, if you can get the dog out of the way for 24 hours,
100%.
do it?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if again, back to my situation, I have a dog and I physically cannot put the dog anywhere and leave the dog anywhere? What would you do on the day of completion?
Keep them in the safe place.
Same principle as well.
Yeah. So a lot of people might say, but my dog gets very anxious if a door's closed.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely suggest get a baby gate up.
Okay. So
a high baby gate,
if
the
it
dog
likes
can
being in
see.
the garden, leave it in the garden.
I wouldn't do that.
No? Okay.
No, because what if it's rainy, for example?
Okay,
The dog's
good
going to
point.
be anxious anyhow.
And when the removal men go and pick up the patio furniture and the dog decides to
Correct.
to scarp.
Correct.
Okay.
If you can create a safe space, whether it's near the kitchen where you've got a baby gate up, or a doggy pen or a crate, great, fantastic. The dog can still see you. Use that instead. But I think, we've got to be very mindful that with dogs, if they can't see you, but there's other people around they don't know, they will naturally become anxious, because in their mind, their job is to protect you.
Got you. So we've prepared the move. We've prepared the very last bits of the move. We've moved.
Yes.
It's completion day.
Yeah.
What do you do in those first hours or first couple of days for the cat, the dog?
So you remember we spoke about scent swapping, marinating fabric. So
Man, I'm feeling hungry now.
I'm so sorry. So very importantly, take out your Ziploc bag, your plastic container that you take that lovely marinated fabric out of, where you can then put it in, let's say, the area where the dog or the cat's going to be sleeping for the first night or two. Take smaller bits of fabric from the other house and just put it in a little corner in all of the other rooms where you want the dog or the cat to be able to go into once you've settled in. So what that does is it shows them that it's okay. This is our place. It's not a problem. So when you slowly start unpacking, they feel a little bit more at ease. And they go, oh, yes, it's that smell.
And if you've done this right, and I know that you've painted a perfect picture of preparation in the same we paint a perfect picture of the legal process.
Yes.
And there are rocks and bumps and what have you. And I know that people won't be able to follow this absolutely. But if you've done the core of that right, presumably the day of completion and the couple of days after is actually a breeze. because you've done it right. And you only end up with real problems when you've not really considered your dog. However much you love them, you're busy with your move, which is stressful, and you've not just given a little bit of thought that this could be really disrupting them. Get it right, and the completion in the few days afterwards will be okay.
That's correct. One of the other things to mention, if you are moving down the road, if you can, before the move, if the house is empty, it's vacant, if you can take your dog on the lead to the new place, let them go in. If you have got a key, great. If not, around the garden, that'll do. Walk them around the block.
What about walking from? So it's an occupied house, hopefully with a dog owner, who understands what you're doing.
Yeah.
Would there be any value, for example, in just going for a walk from that front door or from the gate? Is there any value in doing something like that?
I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be of any value.
Okay, but not as important as the whole house thing, because the house, the walk is their environment, whereas the house is their security, it's their home, it's where they feel they are with their loved ones and the people who care for them, who they are also going to protect.
That's right.
I've got you.
But make it a happy occasion, a happy event. So being able to just go into the garden and go, yay, this is your new garden. It might sound silly, but it makes such a world of difference. So when you move and you've got your dog on the lead, take them out for a toilet break during unpacking, for example, and you go, yay, your new garden. The dog's going, yes, this is my new garden. It's worth it. Take your treaties worth, your high value treats, pay them. When you see a behavior that you go, hey, that's good. You're being calm. That's good. That's what we want. Pay them. It's a reward.
Candice, that is an absolute, even as a pet owner who's moved, that is a revelation, some of the stuff you've just talked about. It's absolutely brilliant. Well,
thank you. I must say that we don't always get it right. And when you're in the moment and you can have a list of what to do, what not to do, it's so overwhelming.
I think the beauty of this, though, it's like so much of what we talk about in all of these property breakfasts, apart from last week, talked about elections, even some of that was preparing.
Yes.
Most of the ones we talk about come back to forward thinking, preparing. If this becomes part of your list of your move, in a way, order boxes, order packing tape, order removal firm. If in that list you've got all these things that you should do for your dog, your cat, and as I say, it could be your hamster, your reptile,
Absolutely.
If they're on a list and they get done, then you're going to end up with a happy ending when you do that big move at the end of it all.
Exactly. And we talking about moving nationally, not internationally. That's a totally different ball game. Yeah. If you were to
that's for the international
that's
Sunday property breakfast.
Yes, exactly.
Available in all translations as well.
There we go. I think if you are moving further than, let's say, an hour, in distance, more than that, you of course want to consider stopping and letting your four-legged fur baby out to go and have a wander, a smell, and to use the toilet.
Small point, I don't like the word fur baby. Don't know why.
I love fur baby.
I guess, don't say it again.
I must say this, and this is completely off topic, but I've got a lot of friends who only have dogs and cats as what we call fur babies.
Yes. No, you can't. Once more, and I'm ending the podcast.
Well, they'll normally, when it's Mother's Day, they always wish me Happy Mother's Day. So I've been saying to my husband, I'm like, it's Mother's Day.
Oh, I've got you.
Where's my card? And he says, really?
Yeah.
And I don't need a card for Mother's Day. Trust me. Seeing them every single day brings so much joy into my life, as it does for many other people. They are angels with four legs. Is that better than fur babies?
Yeah, I did say if you said it once more, that's the end of the podcast. So we have naturally come to the end of it. Anyway,
yes, we do.
Candice, thank you so much. Brilliant stuff. No, really helpful. If you've got any questions over that, which I would imagine you may well have, just get in touch with Candice. Candice at dfine.co. If you're moving house with another agent and you could just do with a bit of advice because you've not had it before, please just give us a call. It's not about whether you're one of our clients. It's just about helping people in our area. And if you are about to come to the market, then do start thinking about these things. Thanks again. Thank you for watching, listening to the Sunday Property Breakfast, whenever it may be. We'll be back again. In fact, next week's will be the live Facebook where we talk about the actual property market and some stats and everything else as well. And we'll be back here again soon in the cavern or in another lovely part of Login Road. Thanks very much again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Sunday Property Breakfast podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Please feel free to share it with anyone you know who you think might benefit from these exclusive market updates. And if you have a question that you'd like us to answer directly, then just email Adrian@define, that's DFINE.co. See you next week.